Today we are going to implement our location permissions in our splash screen. So I will show you that how it will work in our application. So I'm going to show you down here in our application OLX. So these are the runtime permissions. Basically, on the Marshmallow and after Marshmallow, we needed runtime permission that user have access to the permission they want to give or not. So these are the runtime permissions we are going to implement. Allow device location, allow. Then this is the basically turning the GPS on for your device from of your device. So basically, for a better experience, turn on device location, which uses Google location service. So we are going to use Google location service here, and when I click OK, you can see that my GPS is enabled now, and I navigate to login activities. So now in this video we are going to implement location permission with the dialog of Google Play Services location. So let's start the code. So yeah, so basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a runtime permission and asking for runtime permission on for user, and now I'm going to override on resume method because I'm going to call the runtime permission on resume method. So this is the on resume method. Control O for override, then create a method ask for permissions. So I'm pressing control function, just need to copy that, paste it. So you can see there is a find location permission. I need a find permission location. So it's first thing you have to do is add users permissions here. Like I'm going to give location permission, add the location permission, users permission, and the access code location. So I give the find location and access course location. Also our application is internet based, so I'm going to give internet permission too. Without this permission we can't allow or access internet from our application. So I give it all three permissions here. So some of the permission needed runtime permission, some of are not. Like the internet, we not need to ask for the from the user that do you want to enable your internet or something like that. So only some of the permission needed for the user to be interact with. So now I just add the ask for permission request code. I will add this request code which is generated by me. So I will run this code. Let me run this code so you can check that what this code affects. So I will run this code on my device. So I'm going to navigate to my class. Now you can see the dialog here that allow OLX application to the device location. This is the runtime permission we needed to access the location of the user. So if you click on allow, basically it gives us the callback. The callback is coming in on activity, sorry, on request permission result. So this is the override method. Control O, then override the on request permission result. So you can see there that in on request permission result there is request code permissions array and the grant results, that the grant results is that is given or not, the user give the location or not, permission or not. So now I'm going to use that if request code equals to permission request location for grant result. I'm giving a variable here in grant results. If grant results, so I'm checking one by one. Grant request result equals to permission dot granted. So it's in package manager. I have to write down package manager dot and permission granted. If grant request equals to permission granted, then permission is given. So I'm going to take a boolean value above that here. So well, this is a boolean value. I'm going to take granted. By default it's false. So if it's granted, then I'm going to give granted equals to true. So sorry, I take val here. I have to take var because val is immutable. You can't change it, like it is like final, so you can't change it later. So granted equals to true. Now you can see that if it's granted, now it's checking in the for loop because it's an array. You can see the grant result is array. So I run the code in loops and check that if permission is granted, and if permission is granted, then it becomes true. And after the for loop, I will if check if granted, then request for location permission, which as I needed. So if it's accepted, then I am going to write down here enable GPS code, enable GPS. So I'm going to write down here code here, yeah, this one. So this is the location permission. Just copy that, or you can write it on location play services. It's a commenting, and all plus enter, change to 17.00, the updated version, and I'm going to sync now. So it's been synced up. Now I can write the code in splash activity. So here I'm going to write the code here. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to give a variable above, take a variable of private where location request equals to location request, and request, and I'm going to give it null. Sorry, I'm going to give a null here. So now I'm going to initialize in my code here that what location request is going to do. Location request equals to location request dot create and then I'm going to set the interval here. I need a location in minimum 3 seconds, and now I'm going to give the priority here, set priority. I need a high accuracy of location, so I will set the priority here, that location request dot priority high accuracy. So now I have to give here check. It's a safe check that it will I declare above null, so it will safe checks that what I am calling here the Kotlin is less nulls, because they're saying that if it's null, then it will not go to that code. So now after that I'm going to create a builder here, builder, and equals to location request dot location setting request dot builder. And now what I have to do is use that builder for showing my location and location request and passing my variable here. So now what I'm going to do, getting the callback that user give us the permission or GPS is on or not. So I'm going to take a variable here task, and I'm going to type location services callback. Setting clients this dot check location settings builders dot build. So now this will check, the task will check that its permission is given or not. I'm going to add a listener here for the task that if it checked it on complete listener object. So on complete listener on completion listener, I am going to, no, it's not on completion listener from media player, it's from this. So on completion request, location setting request and location setting response here, not response. Okay, now location setting response in object created by me. So now I will override the method here, so and press implement, press alt and enter, implement members, and it gives me the callback here. So there is no need of semicolons in the end of the line of the code like in Java we needed, so do not need to close it down. So now this is in our own complete method. So now after getting the location here, this give us the location that it is on or not, and we are going, after checking, after completion of this method, it will tell us here that it is on or not. So I am going to check here using try catch here. So try catch will give me that thing, exception and API exception. So this will give me exception if the code runs well, like if permission is given, everything is fine, so it will go and try like user give it the permission. So I will check for location updates here, location updates, start for location updates. I'm going to create a function here. If permission is not given, then it will go in catch block. So in catch block, what I have to do, I have to check the status code here. When exception dot status code, so when is like replacement of switch case. So a switch, you put the query there and making the cases same as in when you put the case here and put the method what you want to check. Like I want to check here status code, what is the status code of exception, so you can check, and I'm going to write down the cases of that. So the first case is location setting request, location setting status codes, there it is, dot GPS is required. So I'm making here the arrow, and here what I'm going to do is asking for user permission. So yeah, now I'm going to write down here resolvable, anything you can take, resolvable, and then exception as resolvable exception, and I'm going to request for enable the GPS on. So start resolution is same as for permission. Now start request for the result. So here I am going to show the dialog here, like above I am showing the permission. Here this code will show the permission dialog, and this code will run the show the dialog of GPS enable. This will check that GPS is on or not. It will, after its processing, it will, I will get the on complete listener, and in on complete I will check that GPS is on or not. So after putting try and catch, try me in the try catch, if its location is given, so it will give try, and if not given they will give me exception. So on the exception I check that the GPS is required. So if GPS is required, ask for the Google dialog with the GPS, for asking for the GPS enable. So start resolution for result, and this add splash activity comma, and I am going to write down another request location enable GPS, my permission, not its request GPS. So now request GPS 101, I will go for that. Here write down the code here, it's same as the permission we are getting from above. So what I have to do is I have to check here that if permission, if the GPS permission is enabled and GPS dialog GPS enabled also from the user mobile. So I'm going to on activity result. Yeah, so if request code, if request code equals to request GPS, then what I have to do is I have to call the start location updates, like start location updates, and so after that it will check for the location updates, like what is my current lat long. So if request code equals to my request GPS, then start location update. So in the start location update I'm going to register my fuse location listener and location callback here. So what I'm going to write down here is creating a variable private, late initialize it variable, and fused location client, and fused location client with fused location provider client. So one is this, and another one is late init var location callback, and it's location callback. So in the on create method, what I have to need here, I have to need fuse location client initialize here. I need to initialize here, and location services dot get fuse location services this, and so I initialize my fuse location client here. So now I'm getting back to start location update method, and in this method I'm going to write down here fuse location client dot request for location updates, and pass here the location request, comma, the location callback, and not any intent I needed, so I will write down the null here. So now it will start the location updates. So now I'm going to create a location callback method here, which give me the latitude of longitude of user. Get location callback. I'm going to write down a function here, location callback. So now in the location callback, I'm going to write down here location callback equals to object location callback, and I'm going to write down here and object and override here on location request result, control O, override it, and after overriding, so if now I'm going to get the location permission, well, location equals to location result, which is a p0 dot last location. So it will give me the location of user, and after getting the location, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a method here, get city name. So with the location, I'm going to get city name and going to pass this variable here, and going to create a new method with a get city name, create function in the splash activity, and as you can see, so now I'm going to return where city name, taking a variable city name and give the empty here. Now I'm using the geocoding here, so I can get the city name from the latitude and the longitude. So geocoder equals to geocoder, and this will need it context, comma, the language like locale, where you are, what is the locale of current. So I'm giving the default locale, which is English, I think so, or in India, English locale of India. So it will give me locale, so I will try here, use a try catch block here, and well, addresses, so it return me the list of address. So I get the zero latitude, I get the address from the zero latitude and zero position here. Geocoder dot get from location, and location I have to pass here the location dot latitude, location dot longitude. So I will pass the location and latitude and longitude, and I need a 1 result, so maximum result is 1. So after that, I'm going to get city name from that address dot get 0 dot locality. So this is my city name. So this is try, I will tap here catch IU exception, and that I will print a message here that location exception. failed. So I print a log here. If it's failed, then else it will return city name. City name. So change the return type. Now you can see the string here. So I get a city name here. So I'm going to print in my screen. So I'm going to use toast here, and this comma get city name toast dot length short or long that dot show. I think it will not take this because it's in location callback. So I'm going to use splash activity reference with this as splash activity. So now I'm going to run the app, but before running app, what I'm going to do, I have to call the permission above the fuse location client. So I'm going to write down here above ask for permission on create, and after that I will check for response here also. There is, I'm going to check the result. I missed one code here. The response equals to task dot get result and API exception class dot java. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the application, and here, so it will ask for the permission. I will give it, tap it allow. Then after that it will ask for turn on the device location. I will tap on OK, and it's showing that Chandigarh. So I'm living in Chandigarh right now. It shows me that current location. So that's it for the video, and in the next video we are going to navigate to the login activity and integrate Facebook and Google login. Thank you.